Hi everyone. In this video, we're going to take a look at more texture. We've already learned about actual texture. Now we're going to learn about a second type of texture called implied texture. So in this video, we have two goals. One of your goals is to be able to define implied texture, and then we will be creating implied texture. So first of all, what is implied texture? Implied texture is texture you can see, but you cannot feel it. So it's something in a picture. So maybe a photograph can be a type of implied texture. So here we have a photograph of what looks like fur, and so it looks like it would be soft, but we can't actually feel the softness of the fur because it's just a picture. And in this one, it looks like this picture, if I could feel it, I think it would feel bumpy, but I can't actually feel a bumpy texture when I touch it because it's a picture, not an actual texture I can feel. Implied means that we can only see what it would look like, not feel it. So you can see implied texture in photographs, and you can also see them in drawings. So here I have a couple drawings here. This artist has drawn a dragon, and if you look at the skin, you can see that it has scales and it looks like it would be rough or bumpy. That's the type of texture. If you could feel the dragon, that's what I think it would feel like. It'd feel rough or bumpy or scaly, but it's just a drawing. So you can't actually feel those textures. In this picture here, this drawing, I can see a lot of different textures in it. It looks like it could be soft, it could be bumpy, but again, this is a drawing. You can't actually feel those textures when you touch the drawing. It's a flat piece of paper. You can't actually feel it. It's implied. The artist is implying those textures so you can see them, but in a drawing or a photograph, you're not going to be able to feel any other texture than the paper, a flat, smooth surface. Now we're going to go ahead and create some implied texture. So you're going to get your texture piece of paper here. So you should have some actual texture glued on. So this kind of has a texture to it. Now you're going to write implied texture on the other side. And we're going to create some implied texture. You can get a marker. You can get any color. I've chosen purple. Choose a color you can see, a darker color, not like a yellow. And you're going to get some textured pattern paper to help you create some implied texture. So these textures look like you'd be able to feel like bumpy, but it's flat piece of paper. You can't actually feel it. It's just implied. So what first thing you're going to do when you have your pattern paper and you've written implied texture is you're going to divide your paper into some sections. What you're going to do is just simply draw a few lines. They could be straight lines, they could be curvy, and I would say draw 3 lines. So that's 1, 2, and I'm going to come right here to make a third one. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You should have 5 or 6 areas to draw different textures. I'm going to come over here and just pick a texture I like. I like this scaly texture, so I'm going to go ahead and draw that down here. Some of them are easier to draw than others. I'm looking at what it looks like, and I'm going to continue. You want to get as many of these implied textures drawn in the amount of time we have. We might not get to go over the whole piece of paper in this one class. We'll see how far you get. And I can add that other detail in here. There's some little dots if I want, or I can leave it just like that. I'm going to leave it just like that so I can move on to another texture. I'm really liking these kind of leafy ones here, so I'm going to go ahead and draw some wavy lines. And these have kind of some ovals. There's another one. And you're going to keep going until you fill all of them up with however many textures that you have. Kind of like this bumpy looking one here, so I'm going to come now. Not all of my lines in this picture are the same. There's a variety. Some of them are thicker. So I'm going to go back and make some of these some thicker lines. I'm going to add a few thinner lines to give a variety. That's what's going to help create my texture. It's having a variety. Okay, there's that. Now, when you are making your texture, make sure that you are being purposeful with your lines. You are making them, putting them in a place that makes sense and making them look neat. So like this basket kind of pattern here, I made sure that my pattern lined up kind of like a checkerboard. For my scales, I made sure that each one touched the other one, and it's not messy. I've taken my time. I make sure that it looks nice and neat. This is important when you're moving on to your next step, which is the final project. You can't have these messy textures. You need to have nice, neat work. So you have some time to do your implied texture. So this here, I can't actually feel it, but it looks like it would be kind of bumpy or rough, but it doesn't have that texture. It has the texture of the paper because it's a drawing. This looks like it would be bumpy, but it's not when I touch it because it's just an implied texture. As an artist, I want it to look bumpy, but I can't actually make it on my piece of paper that way with a drawing. So I'm going to imply using different drawing techniques. Thanks for watching.